callers, and welcome back to Viva Barca. Welcome to another interesting episode where we are going to be discussing on some interesting updates. We are going to start with Ansu Fati, as it has been reported that the Barcelona youngster is not ready to leave the club, and he has informed his agent. We are going to be discussing on that as we progress. Then secondly, talking about Ruben Neves, as it has been reported that Barcelona have assured his agent about signing the 26-year-old Premier League midfielder sooner or later. We are also going to be discussing on that. So guys, as we get right into the stories in much details, please do ensure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Turn on the post bell notification to always stay notified whenever I post a new video. Consider liking the video and please watch it right up to the very end. It was reported yesterday that Ansu Fati's agent Josh Mendes is doing everything he can to convince the player to leave Spotify Camp Nou ahead of the new season. The youngster has failed to earn prominence in Xavi's first-team plans, falling behind the likes of Rafinha, Ousmane Dembele, and Xavi in the pecking order. His struggles have tempted Barca to consider a summer sale as they look to bring in fresh funds. However, according to a fresh report from Mundo Deportivo, Ansu Fati has no desire to leave Barcelona. The player has informed Mendes of his intention to continue at Camp Nou and fight for a place in the team. This serves as a potential blow for Barcelona, as they have very limited avenues where they can make money this summer. Fati's sale was one of them, as the youngster will still had an excellent standing among European giants due to his potential. But with the attacker keen on remaining at Camp Nou, Barcelona may have to look into other avenues. However, there is still a chance Fati may leave the club, especially if Xavi Hernandez himself informs of his dwindling role in the first team next season. As for Barcelona's other options, the club are likely to cash in on Ferran Torres following the Spaniard's poor performances this past season. He has failed to live up to the expectations since joining from Manchester City and will be offloaded in the coming summer, barring a miracle. Another player in contention to leave Camp Nou is Franck Kessié. The Ivorian has reportedly given the green light to Barca to offload him in the coming summer, and Inter Milan among the clubs interested in his services as things stand. Barca would favour the sale of Franck Kessié and Torres as they look to reduce the salary mass in the squad, which in turn could help them bring in new stars ahead of the new season. Of course, unlike last summer when President Laporta and the Barca board had to sell economic levers, sell some percentage of TV rights and stuff like that, which really greatly enabled Barca to bring in some of these top talents, Lewandowski, Koundé, Rafinha, and so on and so forth, which have really paid off as we won La Liga with the quality players that we have. This time around, Barca have no such leverage to go about doing certain things to bring in revenue, as La Liga have made it clear that Barca, in order to balance the financial fair play situation, must carry out player sales. They must carry out player sales. And from the look of things, it's going to be tricky somehow. There are certain players that, of course, it is well known that they haven't been playing well, and it shouldn't be an argument that if they sell them, there shouldn't be a big problem. But from the look of things, nobody wants to leave. Of course, you would expect nobody to just surrender and say, okay, I'm going because I didn't perform well this past season. For the longest time, we have been complaining and talking about Ansu Fati, how disappointed it have been for Ansu Fati, a player that many Barca fans had a lot of, a lot of expectations, a guy who had a lot of potential. Whenever he steps on the pitch, Fati changes the game for you. But after suffering some injuries back-to-back seasons, it has been a great disappointment that Ansu Fati this season have not lived up to the expectations, especially wearing the greatest number on his back in the Barca shirt, number 10, worn by the ever greatest Messi, have not lived up to the expectations. And of course, there have been a lot of rumors, understandable rumors, linking Ansu Fati to an exit. Of course, knowing fully well that Barca must have to cash in on players in order, to purchase new players. And of course, it now looks like they are going to do a lot of convincing if they really want to push players out of the club, because certainly there are players that will not return, especially those players that were out on loan, that like players like Lenglet, Umtiti, Des, and so on and so forth. You won't expect those players to come back and play football. Certainly, Barcelona will have to make some cash on those permanent sales. But worst of it all is most of our players that were even loaned out, they did not perform well. Apart from Ace Abde at Osasuna, he was the only performer playing on loan who like convinced the club that they can sign him permanent. Abde has been phenomenal, even though there have been rumors linking him to a return to Barca because of his performances. Xavi have been so impressed. But apart from that, the thing is, sales will be so difficult because most of the players, their clubs there, they don't want to buy them permanently because they have not performed the way they wanted. So that's where there's a huge problem if Barca really want to convince players to go. Then on to the final story of discussion. Barcelona have been in close contact with Josh Mendes in recently, particularly over the future of Ansu Fati. The Portuguese super agent is reportedly doing everything he can to convince Ansu to leave Camp Nou this summer. But apart from Fati, Mendes has also been involved in dialogue with Barca over the future of Ruben Neves. The Wolves star is one of the club's top candidates as they look to find a long-term replacement for Sergio Busquets this summer. According to a report from Dario Sport, Barcelona have given Mendes assurance that they will sign Neves sooner or later. It appears the Catalans are acting out of necessity rather than desire, as the club have no viable options in the market other than Neves. They have been keeping close tabs on Martin Zubimendi and Joshua Kimmich, but both players are set to cost a fortune. Sofian Amrabat was identified as a cost-effective alternative, but even Fiorentina are now demanding at least 30 million euros for the Moroccan international, who is also courted by a series of other clubs in Europe, including Atletico Madrid and Bayern Munich. Barca therefore may have no choice but to splash the cash on Neves. The Portuguese international could come for cheap due to Neves' excellent relationship with Joan Laporta, but the coaching staff is not entirely on the board with the idea of bringing the Wolves midfielder. Xavi Hernandez in particular doubts the player's defensive prowess and is preferring other alternatives in the market. So it will be interesting to see how Barca approach this matter and work it out with the coaching staff to sign the Wolves star. So guys, with that we have come to an end of this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time. Bye bye.